Hey guys, I earlier today I made a video about wanting to become a fucking bulldog. I was talking about how I've had enough of where I'm at, and I think I mentioned it in the video, I don't know, but I'll repeat myself. Earlier today I wanted to run a mile. That was part of my goals for the day. And I walked a mile for warm up, and then I tried to run a mile, but I only got halfway. I got to half a mile and I gave up. I was breathing, it was too tough for me, and I started to just, snot came out of my nose, I started sneezing. I walked the rest of the way home, and then snot had been just pouring out of my nose ever since. I was sneezing constantly, like every minute I sneeze and I sneeze again. It was crazy. So much snot came out of my nose that I didn't have any more snot. It was just like liquid dripping out. It was pretty bad, and that happened for like 6 hours. Anyways, I kept thinking about how I wanted to be a fucking bulldog. I need to be a bulldog. It's time for me to be a bulldog. I had watched a John Sonmez video earlier, and then he sent me to the David Grogan, and I thought, cool. But I've interacted with John Sonmez before. A couple YouTube comments, a couple live stream comments. I helped with his brigade for his book launch. I wanted to be serious. I want to put my money where my mouth is. So I sent him an email because I know that he's had success stories on before from his listeners. So I sent him an email and I said, within 3 years, I'm going to be on your show as a success story, because I'm going to become a fucking bulldog. It's time for me to become a bulldog. And I told him the same thing I said in the last video. Don't take any of my words seriously, but I want you to know in 3 years from now, after I've been serious, you'll know that I was serious back then. And that was the start of it. So I was getting ready to do a bunch of studying and just do studying until I passed out, be serious bulldog about that. But something didn't sit right with me. Earlier, I only ran a half mile when I wanted to do a mile. And how can I say I want to be a bulldog and not even do what I say? This guy, David Grogan, had run miles without stopping until he broke his bones and bled. So I said, you know what? I need to go do that mile. I'm not going to be complete until I go do that mile. So I got all my gear on, my new thingies just to make me feel good. And I went and I ran that mile. All the way, I got to where I stopped before and it started hurting. And I said, nope, I got to keep going, because I want to be a bulldog. So as I was approaching home and I finished the mile, because the run I take is like 1.1 miles. So I was just about to get home. My little run tracker said, 1 mile. And I said, you know what? No, I need to keep going. 1 mile is not enough. And there's two reasons for that. The first reason is I wanted to run a mile earlier in the day before I wanted to fully adopt the bulldog mindset. That means normal Tyler would run 1 mile. So bulldog Tyler had to run 2 miles. There was another reason why I wanted to do 2 miles. Because I don't remember who it was, but I read a quote on Get Motivated on Reddit. And it said, I think it was like Muhammad Ali or some guy crazy like that. And he said that he doesn't count how many push-ups he does. He doesn't just start and count push-ups. He only starts counting when it hurts, because that's the only time it matters. Well, I was fucking hurting after the end of that 1 mile, because it took a lot of energy to do that. So I said, you know what? I have to run a mile, because now that I'm hurting, this is the mile that counts, because I'm only going to do 1 mile. The first mile that I ran, that hurt, but it didn't hurt enough. I needed to run a mile where I was in pain and suffering, where I was hurting, having trouble breathing. I needed to run that mile, because that's the mile that counts. So that's why I ran 2 miles. Now, I'll say this, because part of being a bulldog is being absolutely honest in every aspect. I didn't get to do it. I got to about 1.8 miles, and I stumbled, and I sit down for about 10 seconds to catch my breath. And I didn't just sit down like, oh man, I need to stop and sit down and catch my breath. I stumbled, and then I kind of collapsed down onto the ledge next to me. And then for 10 seconds, I sat there, and I was like, fuck, dude. I don't know how much more I have to go, because I'm not looking at my phone, because I'm just going to fucking do it without looking at anything. But after 10 seconds, I was able to breathe enough to where I was like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to keep going. So I got fucking back up and kept going. And it was hard. Yeah, I stumbled again, but I said, no, I'm not sitting down again. I need to keep going. And then I messed up again. I got to where I stopped earlier, and I was like, I don't know how it hasn't been 2 miles yet, how it hasn't said it. I got to the point where I had stopped earlier, the half mile point, but this time I had done extra laps and I had done more. On the second one, I went a different path. So I was like, I had to have done 2 miles by now. So I stopped where I stopped before, but after having run a lot more. I looked at my phone, which I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have stopped. I shouldn't have looked at my phone. I should have just kept going. But I looked at my phone and it said 1.98. So I was like, fuck it. I need to keep going that 0.2 miles. Like, I'm already there. If I would have kept going, I would have fucking made it. But I stopped. So I went that extra 0.2 miles, and it said 2 miles. I was like, fuck, okay, there we go. And the energy drained out of me, and I was just going to find a bench and sit down. So I started stumbling towards a bench. But I said, no, you know what? If I sit down, I'm not a bulldog. I need to at least walk home. I need to walk the half mile home. Even though I'm having trouble breathing and I'm having trouble, I need to keep walking. So I kept walking, and I was able to make it home. So I would say 2 things. One, like, I would rate myself a 9.5. Like, I put 9.5 energy into that. And I would give myself a 0.5 extra because, first of all, I didn't have to go and do that. I didn't have to be a bulldog. But I said, you know what? No, I need to go make up for what I did earlier. And the other thing is, I started with my nose running. I started already hurting. I started tired from standing up all day, more worn out. But I said, no, I have to do that. So I'd give myself a plus 0.5, bring myself up to a fucking 10 effort. But then I said no because I messed up a couple times. I stumbled and I sat down. So I would minus 0.25 for that, bring me down to a 9.75. But I have to minus another 0.5 for another reason. And I'll say that. The whole time, I had doubt. And when I stumbled the first time, that doubt set in. I was like, fuck, I can't. I stumbled and I feel myself slipping. I can't talk. I can't even breathe. And that's when I stumbled and sat down. So that doubt, I penalized myself 0.5. So I bring myself down to a 9.25, and I don't know how accurate it is. The point is, I know I'm not giving myself 100% effort, but I know that I fucking put in a 9 to 10, which is where I need to be a bulldog. So I'm 100% happy with that, though. You know why? It's because a 9.25, that means I did fucking good, but there's room for improvement, and I put myself on the trajectory to start making that improvement. I learned a couple things about myself, is I have doubt. Like, I had doubt that whole time. I know I have doubt, and even if I'm going to do something great, I'm going to have doubt for it for a little bit until I start proving to myself that I can do it. But I'm happy that I learned things about myself, and I learned that I could push myself farther than I've ever believed I could go. I ran farther than I have ever run before in my life. 1.8 miles is pretty much my personal record. It won't be my personal record for long, though, I can tell you that. I learned a lot about myself. Another thing is I learned how transcendent it'll be. As I said, I believe in solipsism, and to know that anyone can succeed, I have to succeed myself. When I was running when I was probably about like 1.25 to 1.5 miles, I started chanting. I said, you know, I need a chant to get me through this, because I was going to stop a lot sooner. I was going to give up. I was going to fall. I started chanting myself. I said, I am a fucking bulldog. I am a fucking bulldog. And after saying that like 5 or 6 times, it just started automatically coming out of my mouth like a chant. And I just kept going. It revitalized me a little bit. And I fucking kept going. It shortened down a little bit to where I was just saying, I am a bulldog in rhythmic while I was running. And the crazy part is, the transcending part I wasn't even controlling myself saying it. It was just coming out of my mouth. Just, I am a bulldog as I ran. It's emotional, like, to have that happen, like just saying, I am a bulldog, hearing that come out of my mouth. Honestly, I had to restrain myself a little bit. I started screaming it almost. And it was 2:30 in the morning. I don't want to be screaming as I'm running and have the cops call on me and then be pulled over, and that'd ruin my run. But I didn't want to wake anyone up. That's be rude. I don't want to fuck other people up while I'm succeeding. But I had to tone myself down a little bit, because I was starting to yell at the top of my lungs, and it was just coming out. Like, I wasn't meaning to. It was just coming out. But I'm happy about that. When I stumbled, like, I couldn't even speak anymore. Like, I was just like, that's when I stumbled, because I started to have doubt. But I've identified that doubt in myself before, and identifying it is the key to abolishing it. I'm happy because I know that I have room for improvement, but I know that I have the capability of doing it. And if my cousin was with me running, maybe I don't know for sure, but if John Sonmez or David Grogan was with me, I hope they'd be proud of me. I know I'm proud of myself, and because I know I put myself to the test, and I did a lot. And while I may not be a bulldog, that might not be true, I know I'm a bullpup, and as I said, I have 3 years to become a bulldog. That's my challenge to myself is within 3 years, I'm going to be a fucking bulldog. Today, I can say that was the first day on that journey because of what I did. Going out of my way, going back out, running, making it 2 miles without stopping, and then without really stopping completely permanently and giving up completely. I kept going, and I even did 0.5 of a mile after that, walking home without stopping like I was going to because I wouldn't have gotten back up. I know I pushed myself. I know I grew, and I know I'm going to grow more. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Oh, and by the way, I'm not complaining. I'm just pointing out facts because what I did is I ran with my only running shoes I had, which have holes in them. I had this little fucking rock in there the entire time. It bore into my socks, put a hole in my socks, but I fucking kept going. And goddamn rocks, I'm gonna need to get myself some new shoes. All right, thanks, guys.